Well, it's hard to believe that here we are on the eve of another new year. And I remember this time last year thinking, what a relief. COVID was over, and we thought we can't ever have another horrible year like we did during COVID. But 2023 has been a tough year, right? War in Ukraine, the war with Israel and Hamas. There have been so many things, a divided America, that have made me personally wonder, can it get any worse? And on some levels, it's proven that it can. So, what I wanted to share on this New Year's Eve was what are the things we do have control over? And because it is 2024, I wanted to share 2 things for the body and 4 things for the mind that we do have control over. And I begin this New Year's message by saying to everyone, we make a choice each and every day about, are we a proactive influencer or are we a reactive responder? And it's very easy to be a reactive responder to a lot of the confusion and the difficulty that is happening around us. So that is what we don't want to be, the reactive responder. What we want to be is the proactive influencer. So here are 2 things for the body, and I'm going to give you 4 things for the mind that you can ensure that you are. So let's start with the 2 things for the body. So what happens at every new year is we want to eat more healthily and we want to exercise. So in my experience, as somebody who's been teaching and training professional development for many years, it is much easier to give ourselves to-dos than to-don'ts. So, meaning, it's much easier to say to yourself, let me start drinking water. Let me start drinking water. Let me start drinking more water than I've been drinking. Then let me stop eating cake. So just a note to self, our brain responds better to the positive than the negative. So as you're listening to this, and really when I talk to you, I'm talking to myself as much as to you, is to say, what can you start doing? Remember, the to-dos are easier than the to-don'ts. So if you're listening to this and it's, I need to increase my water intake, rather do that than be punitive and tell yourself what you shouldn't be doing. Or I will pause between bites. I will slow down my eating. That's a to-do. Okay, so a couple of tips there around, and I'm saying it to myself. And this year, I am committed. So please commit with me. And as far as exercise goes, again, it's easier for the brain to do things that are positive and that you have a positive neuro association with. So let me give you an example. I met with a friend last week and we decided we are going to meet and talk and walk once a week. That's not difficult to commit to. So that means an extra 45 minutes a week I will be exercising, because we'll be talking and we'll be walking. And we said if the weather's bad, we'll do a more walk. But find somebody to do that with. Now, I know some of you who are listening to this are going, Nadia, I'm a gym rat. I exercise 7 times a week. You don't need to be telling me this. Well, great. Then you are one of those people that's found a positive neuro association with exercise. But for those of us, and there are many, who struggle with creating these positive habits, it's so helpful to say, I don't need to go. I am going to commit to going to the gym and I'm going to do it for an hour a day. That's too hard. Make it reasonable. I did a wonderful coaching certification this year. And one of the things that it taught me was just, again, a reinforcement of how the brain works and how when we give ourselves realistic things, things that our brain can accept and look at positively, the chances of success are so much greater. So if that helps, great. If you didn't need that part, please wait for the next. So I said 2 things about the body and now 4 things for the mind. So here goes with my 2024 4 things we can do for our minds. So I wrote a blog this year about, are you an illuminator or are you a diminisher? And let's hope for all of us that for 2024, we are illuminators, meaning we bring joy. We say, how can we contribute to a situation rather than how can we diminish it? And this sometimes takes a lot of work. I was at an event last night. A friend of mine's daughter is getting married, and we were at an event, and there was a young man standing on his own. And I said, hi, I'm Nadia, friends of the bride's family. And he said, my name's Trevor. And I said, Trevor, meet so-and-so. And we started chatting. And he thanked me at the end of the evening. He said, thanks for making me feel so welcome. How do you do it? And I said to him, it's a practiced skill. It's a skill of illumination, meaning wherever you are you there to contribute? And he said that's something he was going to take away, because it doesn't need to be your home or your party for you to be somebody who makes other people feel comfortable. And throughout life, to think about ourselves as illuminators versus diminishers. So the second one was how easy it is to misinterpret a feeling. Well, put it this way. We feel what we feel. A feeling is an is. A feeling is not a should. But what happens to us is we often see a feeling and think of it as fact. And then, haven't we all done this? We create a whole narrative around that feeling, a whole story. Who hasn't done that? And we could be completely wrong. So it's to really take a moment and focus and say, is what I'm feeling backed by fact? Now, we all have feelings, and feelings are certainly valid, but so often it's the story we create around the feeling that in fact can be very false. It can be as much as somebody came up to me recently and said, Nadia, upset with me, you didn't greet me as warmly as you normally do. She had created a whole narrative around a feeling she had. But in fact, that particular day had been very difficult for me for a number of reasons. So please, it goes back to Don Ruiz Miguel, who said, don't make assumptions and don't take things personally. So really think about your feelings and how easy it is to create narratives, and stop and say, am I interpreting this correctly? Then my third of four for 2024 was pause. In presentation skills trainings, in my workshops on executive presence and leadership presence and networking and personal branding, I talk a lot about the pause in how you present yourself. But the pause is equally important in how you respond. And I quote Viktor Frankl, between stimulus and response, there lies a pause. And in that pause lies your power to choose. And so often we react. And if we had only taken a moment to think about the best, most evolved way of responding, we would have alleviated so much unnecessary angst, drama, stress. Then my fourth of four was to remember that people's differences are differences, not faults. And if we could all increase our level of tolerance for 2024, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? If we could all become more tolerant, if we could all treat each other with huge respect and real, genuine curiosity of other, and seeing other as different, yes, but not less than. I did a wonderful workshop this year on networking in a multicultural environment. And some of the audience came from the Philippines, and some from India, and some from North America. And it was fascinating to just look at all three and compare them and look at the differences as differences of deep respect. So those were my 2 and 4. My 2 for the body and 2 for the mind. I'll quickly repeat them for 2024. So 2 for the body was, it's easier to give yourself to do's than to don'ts. Find somebody or something you like doing so you have a positive neuro association. And then my 4 for the mind were: be an illuminator, not a diminisher. Don't attach narrative to feelings. Learn to pause. And finally, see people's differences as differences, not faults. Set yourself aside for a moment and really look at the other with great empathy. So those are my thoughts for 2024. I want to thank each and every organization that I have partnered with this year. Every single one of you, every company, every group, it has been such a pleasure and an honor to work with you, and to everybody who's attended my keynotes, my workshops, my coaching. I have loved each and every interaction. And because of you all, I have the pleasure and the privilege of not waking up and saying, what do I get to do today? But no, I get the pleasure and privilege of saying, what do I get to do today? And that is a great honor. So thank you all for listening, for supporting, for being a resource, for being part of my virtual network. And let us continue to be givers in each other's lives. My 2024 message for all of you. And just hope it is a happy and healthy and peaceful one.